Hello. Maybe my things might be broken. My chat in specifics. My chat call out window. Oh, why isn't my chat working anymore? I can see you guys, and I'm reading your guys' chats, but sorry, I'm just trying to fix my chat. Because normally you should be seeing you guys over here. So what is happening? Chat disconnected. Unable to connect to chat. All right, well, maybe chat is not going to work. I don't know how to restart this thing. If I just do that. All right. Well, if that's not going to work, then we're just going to have to... Not even my chat's working on my computer, weirdly. I'll just refresh this and see if it works. But please explain the main difference between... But by the way, sorry, I just jumped right into it. I got distracted by my chat not working. But please explain the main differences between the two cams. I assume the main thing is the stack sensor. We're referring to the S1R2 and the newly released, hot off the press, S1 Mark II. I've got it right here with the new 24 to 60 millimeter as well. But, I mean, the main difference, yeah, you could say is the sensor. It's this one's a partially stacked sensor. The S1R2 is not. We're on the S1R2 right now. And then we've got the S1 II. Is my chat working now? Finally? There we go. It seems to be working now. But there's actually quite a bit of differences, especially when it comes to the video capabilities. Like the S1R2 can do 8K. It can do, it's higher megapixels. This one's less megapixels. This one can do open gate, oversampled open gate. It can also do 4:8 anamorphic. Basically, the main difference is that this one seems to lean slightly more towards the pro video features, whereas the S1R Mark II leans slightly more towards the photo features, but they're both totally hybrid cameras. That's kind of the best explanation that I can give. How's it going, Carlos? Is my sound... Totally hybrid cameras. It is. That's kind of the best. Paul says, what an amazing intro. Hey, I appreciate it, Paul. You were here for it. Okay, now I can switch my chat over to this actual screen instead of on my phone. So Bayonet says, just wanted to say thanks for the LUMIX Pro course. It's awesome. Hey, speaking of the LUMIX Pro course, there will be a section on the S1 II and the S1R Mark II. The only reason that I hadn't started on the S1R Mark II was because I may have known that this was coming, and now I can talk about it. And I knew that it would have some similar aspects to the S1R Mark II, and it would just be kind of a lot of work to do everything on the S1R Mark II. But I didn't know everything that was on this camera. So that if you watch Gerald's video, that thing about the New York event that we consulted on, like this was like 2.5 years ago, roughly, I think. I was also at that event thing. So yeah, I've known about the S1 II for a long time, but it was not what I was expecting, basically. It's way more than it was, basically, from that event. But anyways, so S1R2 and the S1 II and the GH7 will also fit kind of in that portion of the course as well. That is the next big thing I'm working on for the course. And immediately after, I'm going straight into getting English captions for you guys. And if you don't know, I sell an online course, Link in the description. Go check it out. 24-60. Hey, what's up, Nigel? Will probably be my favorite lens. Love how compact it is. It is much more compact. Yeah, if you guys actually want to watch a comparison video between the 24-70 millimeter and the 24-60, I posted that today as well. We're getting blessed. You guys are getting spoiled by me today with content. Live stream about everything. 2 videos, one on the camera, one on the lens. I was up till like 3:30 last night, but yeah. No creator event this time. There was a creator event, fun fact. It was in Texas. Yeah, Austin, Texas. At least that's where it was for the US people. You know what's crazy? There was no leaked information about the creator event in Texas. I could have said that there wasn't, and you would have believed me. And so I'm kind of proud of that, even though it doesn't really have anything to do with me because I'm pretty individual and like I think I'm pretty good at, not leaking information. But knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But yeah, there was no leaks or anything about the LUMIX, the Austin event that we went to. So sorry, I meant between the S1 and the S1E2, but also that helps. Okay, so the S1E2 or the S1 2E. So the E stands for essentials. I'm sure they went over this in the live stream. Essentially, the S1 2E versus the S1 2, they're going to be completely different sensors. So the S1 2E has the same sensor as the S5 II, S5 IIX, S9, but it's going to be in the same body as the S1 Mark II and the S1R Mark II. It's also bringing tons of features that are in these cameras, like 32-bit float recording. You've got some CinemaScope modes, and I think even one of the CinemaScope modes will be oversampled 4K in 48 FPS and 60 FPS. You're also getting timecode, basically all of the kind of like hardware, I would say, things that you would want in like an S5 II that now the S1 II and the S1R Mark II have, you're going to get. So it's essentially the new Pro version of the S5 IIX. If you felt like the S5 IIX was the Pro version, now the S1 2E is the Pro version of those S-series cameras. But the S1 II is definitely more Pro than the S1 2E. There's a lot of S1 2s that I'm like surprised I'm not tripping over my words more. So anyways, intro is sick. Thank you guys. Go watch the video. That's the intro to my video on the S1 Mark II. So yeah, go check it out. I guess I missed the new release. So a new camera is out? Yes. What's the MSRP compared to the S1R2? The S1R2 is $3,300 roughly US. This is the S1. Here, maybe I can get it to focus on it. This is the S1. It's focusing. I just can't get it to focus on the logo. This is the S1 Mark II. It's $100 US cheaper than the S1R Mark II. So the S1 costs the same as the S1 II. It's technically $100 less. It's not the same. So yeah, an S1 2E is $2,500. So want that shirt? Tell LUMIX we need merch. They know. They're a little stretched thin right now, and merch is, I don't think, top of their priority. So, do you wonder where the leaks for the camera came from? Not really. I don't really care. But I'm sure that they come from. I would think that they come from like a retailer, and I don't think any like creators or anything purposely leak any information, but I feel like it's somebody that works at like a retailer or something like that. Cause it seems like a lot of the leaks come like no more than 2 weeks prior, like the more of the specs and the details. So I think that they come from a retailer. Probably, I don't know where, but where is the Texas B-roll in the reviews? I don't know. I haven't seen all of the reviews, but there's a ton of B-roll from Texas in my videos. No idea how you said all that. It was a tongue twister. Just watched the S12 and the S12E live stream. Looks like two cool new cameras. I think so, and I would even say I would have a hard time. I have a hard time coming up with anything bad to say about the S12E. S12 Mark II. Like, this is pretty much essentially a perfect camera. This is the most perfect camera ever. Because, like, the A7S III, maybe I was just ahead of the trend. It at the time, it maybe felt like the perfect camera. But because I had a LUMIX S1H, it didn't really feel perfect to me because of all of the things that it was missing, basically, feature-wise. The only reason I felt like it could take that title, the most perfect at that time, was because of the full-frame 4K 60 and 10-bit, and it was reliable, right? Didn't overheat. But, like, it was missing all the anamorphic modes and, like, you know, not as good at IBIS, anamorphic desqueeze. I could get into it, but yeah, that's kind of how I feel. This feels like perfect. Like, sure, the 4K 120. By the way, Gerald didn't even touch on, if you've watched Gerald's video, I watched his video because I was curious his thoughts, watched it on my way, or listened, I guess, on my way to dropping my son off, but he didn't even talk about the 96 frames per second. So this camera, the S12, has 96 frames per second, full frame, and it's got full subject detection and everything. And I think it's better. Well, it is better. It's better than the 120 frames per second mode. Like, way better. But another thing that I will mention that I touched on pretty heavily in my video is that in 1080p, you can shoot, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure it's 10-bit, but you can shoot 240 frames per second. Yeah, it's 422 10-bit. There's a very minimal crop, but, like, the footage looks amazing. And in past LUMIX cameras, you could go up to, like, 180 frames per second, but it was totally, like, unusable. Whereas the S12, it's 100% usable. You can see it in my video, so. Love the new built-in anamorphic. Yeah, CinemaScope. Capture choice. I know. I didn't mention it in my video, but it was something that I've never really, like, a feature that I'm not like, oh, like, I want CinemaScope on the camera. And I don't think I'll really use CinemaScope in, like, a professional application. I would just shoot OpenGate, especially now that you can shoot at 48 and 50 frames per second in OpenGate. And then I would just crop it in post. But I think, like, family stuff and just YouTube stuff, more creative things that I'm just shooting for fun, I think I would absolutely use the CinemaScope mode. I mean, it's super fun to shoot on. And that's kind of one thing I like, again, about LUMIX. I'm just a LUMIX shill. I'm just a LUMIX shill. That's what I am. I coined it. My beard, this, like, one hair that's sticking out is bothering me because it's like a white hair. It's, like, reflecting on the background. You can see it. Sorry, it's bothering me. But that's just why I just like LUMIX, because they'll put features in here that maybe is not like the most practical, like, who cares type features. But I'm like, it's just kind of fun. Like, this is why I keep going and staying. This is why I am so, like, loyal to LUMIX, because they just put things in here that I can just use for fun. Like, this doesn't have to be just some big professional machine that you only use for, professional shooting. You can use it for fun things as well. So you own the S9 and still shoot Sony. I think that keeps me from fully jumping is just how expansive the E-mount is. Tons of lenses that don't have equivalents on L. That is a fair point. Lumix is still catching up when it comes to, or the L-mount alliance, I should say, is still catching up when it comes to lens options. But it's definitely, I think it's going to catch up pretty quickly because there's a lot of lenses and brands that are going to be joining the L-mount alliance. So I think there's going to be a lot coming soon. So they're going to catch up pretty quickly. So just my thought. Still angry at Panasonic for removing features in the last set of updates. Already planning how I'm going to leave for a new system. I mean, what features exactly do you need that badly that you would leave? Because I know that I think it was a regulation thing. So it wasn't like they had a choice, but yeah. S12 versus FX3. The S12 is the one. FX3 or even A7S3, it's not even a competition now. Like, it finally feels like there's a camera that's out there that can compete with that. And I think it's still cheaper. The Lumix the Sony FX3, I'm pretty sure is still more expensive than the Lumix. It is. B&H, $3,900. How about the A7S3? $3,900, sorry. And then the A7S3 is $3,500. Yeah, the Lumix is cheaper, and it's way more feature-rich and better in every single way. I can finally say that about when you compare to the FX3 and the A7S3. The S1 Mark II is better in every single way. I'm not even saying that as like a biased person towards Lumix cameras. Like, even from a specs standpoint, side by side, better in every way. And Wi-Fi PC transfer, my GH7 is staying on version 1.2. Yeah, I mean, if you really, really, really need those features, but do other systems even offer those things? That's the thing. Are you just switching out of like spite, like, they removed features and I'm leaving, I don't think that they can say, I swear it's like a regulation thing. I don't really know the reason why they had to remove that stuff, but I'm pretty sure that's why. Will Lumix release a new S5 III or the new S1 IIe? Is the replacement? That's a good question, actually. I would say that I wouldn't bank on an S5 III anytime soon. I would say that the S1 IIe is probably the replacement for now. Again, I don't know anything. This is all hypothetical. Yeah, anytime you ask about future releases, even if I know something, I have to say I couldn't tell you if I even knew. So, oops. What's the differences between the S1 II? I'm going to get this question a lot. S1 IIe and S1 II. They have completely different sensors. The S1 IIe has the old sensor. It's basically the S1 IIe is basically an S5 IIX in a new S series body. So in this new body with all of the hardware upgrades. So like 32-bit, the S1 IIe will support, this is the S1 II, but the S1 IIe will support 32-bit float, timecode, Bluetooth, those types of things. But there is a few extra features. This has way more features though. Oh, UVC. That's another thing that the S1 IIe will support, UVC. So anyways, yeah, it's basically the upgrade the in-between camera, or it's the new Pro S52X. Like the S52X was the Pro S52 camera. The S12E is basically that camera now. The E stands for Essentials, basically. Do you think we could see a creator movie situation with the S12E? I'm not sure what you mean by creator situation or a creator movie situation. Creator? Like me and a bunch of creators make like a movie? Is that what you're saying? I feel this camera is a hybrid again. The S1R2 was also a hybrid. They are both hybrid cameras. I mean, the S1H was also a hybrid though. So like, yeah, this is 100% a hybrid camera. It is a 24 megapixel photo beast as well. But most people are just going to buy this camera for the video features, in my opinion. I think this camera is going to... Here's the thing, though. I'm a little torn because I love the sensor on the S1R Mark II. The more I shoot with it and seeing side-by-side footage of the S1R2 versus the S12, I don't know. I think the S1R Mark II, I think the image looks slightly better. It looks stunning still. The S12 also looks really, really good, and I think it looks better than the S52 and the S52X. But man, the S1R2, it's pretty stunning. Oops. Finally, I can start at a 4K 120p of channel with my girlfriend. I actually think you want to shoot at 96 frames per second. I'm going to be honest. Because I'm pretty sure in Cinema 4K, at least right now, yeah. So at 4K 120, just so you know, this is something he didn't touch on. Maybe I'm on an old firmware, but I don't think so. You lose subject detection. So I'm in... Sorry, I'm trying to get this... Okay, so I'm in 4K 120 on the S12. There's no subject detection. However, if I change to the 96 frames per second, I've got full subject detection, tracking, everything. However, I did notice that you get at 96 frames per second, you do get a lot of, what's it called? Flickering lights. By the way, for those who are curious, I got a new lens. I'm filming on it right now on this live stream. It's the Sigma 28-45 f1.8. It popped up used on Facebook Marketplace, and that is rare that a good lens, a good L-mount lens, pops up used for me locally, so I couldn't resist. I'm trying it out. I was not really on board with it. The S5 or the I wasn't really on board with the 28-45 Sigma. It's kind of started to grow on me now that it's been out for a while. And since it popped up, I'm like, you know, I'll get it. And the guy sold it to me for a really good price, so I can't complain. I think he knew that it was going to sell. It was going to be pretty hard to sell locally. And I came in basically above eBay fees if you were to sell it on eBay, and obviously above if he were to just trade it in, but I still offered him a little bit lower to see if he would bite it, and he did. The movie, the creator. I see what you're saying. That was shot on the FX3, hoping to hear a movie shot on the S12 based on your comparison of the two. I think you're right, actually, Backline Films. I think that there could be a movie that will be shot on the S1 Mark II. Because, like, yeah, it's better in every way. Way better. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. The movie Creator. It's called The Creator. Sorry. When you said creator, I was thinking like content creator. And so that's what threw me off. But when you put the in front of the creator, I know what you're talking about. So I think they were asking, yeah. I use 96. That's better to track objects. Yes. 96 frames per second is better for object tracking. Do you wish that the 4K 120 FPS mode on the S12 was 422 10-bit rather than 420 for that 3300 price? Sony has this. Is 422 versus 420 even that big of a difference for paid client work? No. So here's the thing though. I don't know why. Okay, this isn't to like call you out or anything, Phil. This is just like I don't know why people obsess over 120 frames per second so much. Like, even though the 96 frames per second, here's the thing. You can just shoot in the 96 frames per second. It's close enough. And it is 420 10-bit as well. Long GOP. But like, you're not going to see a difference. I almost guarantee you're not going to see a difference. And I rarely shoot at 4K 120. Even like the 240 frames per second on this camera, it's just a nice feature to have, in my opinion. But like that one or two shots, or maybe that one time that you're doing like product B-roll or something like that at 120 frames per second, in my opinion, like, it's such a niche scenario, and that if you're shooting at higher frame rates, maybe this isn't the camera, right? All the time. And you need that higher, 422. The thing is like, I can make the argument that for 3300, actually it's not 3300, it's 3200, but for 3200, you don't get 422. The A7S III and the FX3 is more expensive. So it's like, yes, it is justifiable because that's the only thing really on the camera that's not that great. So S12, yeah, and that's not to call you out or anything, Phil. It's just an observation I've noticed is like, I don't know why people obsess so much over 4K 120 when all I need is the 60 frames per second to be good, right? Because I think the 60 FPS in OpenGate, it's also 420, but it's 5.1K. Yeah, I don't know. But you can still shoot 4K 60 in all I if you really, really need that. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, that's just my thought and opinion. I care way more about the OpenGate 60 than I care about the 422 and 420. That's just my thoughts. So sorry, S12 looks awesome. I love your 24 to 60 video. It's a tough choice to make. I see the 30 pop you're talking about with the 24 to 70. Yeah. And that's only, it's such a, like, I have a hard time recommending the S Pro lens because like this has the 24 to 60 has way more features than this now. And, it's not because Lumix gave me this lens and I bought this lens. I'm still probably going to shoot the majority of stuff on this lens just because I bought it myself and I like the look that it has just this much more. But yeah, I have a hard time telling people like it's that big of a difference to buy the S Pro versus the 24 to 60. So I still just want I want the technology that's in this lens though, like the new autofocus and all that whatnot in a new S Pro lens. Give me a new S Pro lens. Now that this is here, it's time. Come on, Lumix. It's time to start doing S Pro lenses. It's time. After watching the live launch and a couple of reviews so far on the S12, seems to me that there is more of a heavy emphasis on video capabilities and less on still photography. Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned that up, William. You know who you should watch is probably Julia. I didn't watch her video, but she's more a photographer. She's mostly a hybrid shooter, but like she does way more photo stuff than probably most people out there. I think there's somebody else too, but yeah, most people are probably going to buy this and use it for the video features. As I needed a slow-mo, as I have needed slow motion 120 mode for some sports videography, yeah, 422 and 420 it isn't something I really notice a difference of. So thank you for clarifying. Yeah, like to explain, like 420 and 422, that's like you probably know this, but it's just the subsampling. And visually, and even in color grading, you're really probably not going to notice a difference. If you are doing any green screen stuff, any keying, you may notice a small difference. That is my thoughts and opinion when it comes to 420. And maybe you will notice a slight difference as well when you shoot in like a concert type environment with a lot of different color lighting. Maybe in that scenario as well. But it's going to be a very negligible difference from 420 and 422. So 95% of the time I shoot in 25 and to this full time for a living in Germany. Yeah, even same here. I even rarely shoot in 48 and 60 FPS, but I do sometimes. So those are the modes, yeah, that I do more. 60 FPS is more than enough, but seems for sports clients prefer 120 frames per second. Yeah. Yeah, like for sports, that slow-mo can be kind of nice. 10 FPS on stills. Yeah, no mention on low light improvements for stills. Yeah. Can do 20 FPS in burst. I'm not sure about the stated 70 FPS on the S12, RAW or JPEG. I'm pretty sure it's RAW. I can check. So it does 10 FPS blackout free. I know that for sure. Take this off the timer. Put it in burst. Let me go in here. File format, RAW plus JPEG. High plus. Burst shot. Setting. Okay. Yeah, you can do 70 FPS with the burst shot with RAW plus JPEG. I don't know if you can see that. Come on. There we go. Here, we'll even click it. There you go. There's no SD card in there, but you could hear it clicking, maybe. I just got to let my dogs in real quick. But while I'm letting my dogs in, if you don't know about my course, you can watch this little advert about my course. Be right back, guys.
Unlock the full power of your LUMIX camera. Introducing LUMIX Pro. From mastering every setting to creating with ease, this course is the key to technical confidence for any project and any job. It's the start of your mastery. One payment gains you lifetime access to a growing library of tutorials, digital downloads, sample footage, private live streams, and more. Don't just own LUMIX. Become a pro with it.
Hello, I'm back. I sprinted and I grabbed a beverage because I was up really late. trying to finish my videos. So busy, guys. By the way, speaking of the course, some very exciting news. Little teaser for you guys. But the course, I might be partnering with LUMIX very soon. Maybe, yeah, I guess partnering, or LUMIX will be endorsing the course very soon. So that's an exciting thing. Have I tested the timecode support via Bluetooth? Yes, I have. It works with the Atomos Sync Blue thing. This is something that I also probably will make. I'll probably make a video. I've never made a video about timecode on LUMIX because it's not something that I really, it's not something that I really have needed or found that convenient for me. However, this is something I didn't mention as well, by the way. The S1R2 is going to support Bluetooth timecode as well in a future firmware update. And Arilog C3 will be coming to the S12 and the S1R2 and the S12E as well. I forgot, that's another thing about the S12E. It's going to be getting Arilog. So these are going to be some of the first cameras with full frame cameras with Arilog C3, which I'm kind of excited to test. I'm still a little skeptical on Arilog C3, as in if it matters that much for just like me who doesn't shoot next to Aries. But I'm a bit more excited for it on a full frame camera. So yeah, but I am probably going to make a video about like how to do timecode on Bluetooth timecode on these cameras. It's really not, it's not super straightforward. So yeah. I'll probably make a video on it. So just trying to think about if this is big enough improvement to upgrade for stills. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think that the S1R2 is still a better stills camera by far. But yeah, this is where LUMIX lacks. And I think that they've kind of just given up really in that regard. I don't know if they will try to compete in like the sports photography realm. Like these are great photo cameras, great in the studio, great. This also supports Capture One, by the way, the S12 tethering. They're great studio cameras though. They're great for portraits. It's basically great for everything except for like, I'm going to say super fast, like sports photography. Like it probably would work decently for like sports in general with like balls, like basketball, like tennis and like those types of sports, especially with the new urban sports mode, skateboarding, snowboarding, whatever, right? But for like real high speed stuff, like motorcycle, like car thing, I don't know, maybe it'd be fine for cars. I don't know. It's hard to know. You would have to, a photographer that does stuff like that would have to be the one to go to ask those questions. Because yeah, I just don't really know. It's wild how much LUMIX put into their cameras. Oh, I was gonna say though, yeah, I think the S1R2, in my opinion, is a better photo camera. In general, though, way better photo camera, as long as you're okay with the higher megapixel count. And I'm pretty sure that the S1R2 is also getting that new HEIF format. Basically, everything that's in this right now that the S1R2 doesn't have, I believe will be getting in a future firmware, just so you guys know. Into their cameras, I fully agree for the price. It's packing more than FX3 and A7S3. Was just curious if 4.2 over 2. Oh, I see what you're saying. I agree. It shouldn't be a deal breaker for anyone. Okay. We're on the same page. And yeah, like I wasn't like saying like that's kind of why I had a preface of like not like calling you out. It's just a thought that came to my head by your comment, right? Oops. I shoot mostly 60 as well, and seem to be perfect slow speed for what I do. 120 would be too much for most applications, just a nice feature to have. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a nice feature to have. It's kind of like 96 frames per second. This is why I was saying, like, I think the 96 frames per second is a way better mode than 120 frames per second as well. It's such a chunk, massive lens. Yeah, insane quality. Love the manual focus clutch, but I lean towards the size and weight of the 24 to 60. Yeah, like I could see myself, if I am deciding between the 24 to 70 and the 24 to 60, and my bag is already like pretty full, but I want this focal range, I would probably grab the 24 to 60. Like, I don't think I would, over my pickiness, I don't think I would grab the 24 to 70. But if like I'm just carrying a couple lenses and I'm not going far, like I'm just going locally, I'll probably bring the 24 to 70 just because of it still is just slightly better, marginally better image quality and has that S Pro magic, but it's not, there's so many advantages to the 24 to 60. 422 edits also way faster as 420. Editing time is faster and also render speed by factor of 2. Is that true, or is it just because it's all eye? Usually the 422 modes are all eye. It's not because it's 420. It's just because 422 is all eye. And 420 is long GOP. What camera am I streaming on? This is the S1R Mark II. Oh, the S1R Mark II is also going to support UVC, by the way. That's another thing coming in firmware update. Yeah, I don't actually use, this is an important thing that I need to mention though. When I did the UVC function, I could not figure out how to get the audio over USB-C. So it's possible that the camera does not transfer the audio via UVC over USB-C. It's a lot of UV. So I go into a capture card only because I want to use the XLR dock so I can use this mic. And I don't have to deal with like a interface, an XLR interface for my stream at this setup. So that's the reason why I use a capture card. But if you're just doing like a meeting or whatever, you want it to look nice and you use the microphone in the computer, yeah, UVC works great. Congrats on possible partnering with LUMIX. Well deserved. Thank you, William. What can we expect in S5 II out of these new cameras? SSD backup is badly needed. I do not know, to be totally honest. I could maybe see the copy function coming, but I don't know. That is a hard one for me to even speculate. I could see maybe the copy function. UVC definitely not, because that's a hardware thing. I mean, maybe the copy function. And maybe the ability to copy, like, transfer settings from one camera. Like, I could copy my settings from the S1 Mark II to the S5 IIX. It normally had to be the same brand, but yeah. Oh, wait. Josh Walker is actually the one you should ask about the autofocus for like high speed things. William, what's up, Josh? Did you see my intro? I was trying to embody Josh Walker by taking my camera out to a very sandy environment and put it through its paces. Dude, I came home and like brushed off as many crevices and everything before I took any of the lenses off. And like, just because I wanted to avoid any kind of sand getting anywhere that it could get, but it's probably like in the fan. I don't hear anything like rattling around, so I think my camera's okay. But I was very careful out there when I was shooting my intro for my video, but yeah. I love the rolling shutter controversy, for example. Cam Mackey made a hilarious clip in the S12 video, rolling shutter because he's a real filmmaker. Yeah. Yeah. The rolling shutter controversy is pretty funny. I have decided, like, when it comes to drama about these releases and whatnot, it's like I already made my statement when there was drama on the S9, because like it kind of felt like some people were like getting kind of defensive to the camera, and like for me, the reason why I wanted to say something is just because I was like, it felt like that it was making me look bad in a way, that I was just going to these, press events for Lumix so I can get free stuff. But I'm like, no. I genuinely like these cameras, and I, genuinely want people to be excited about them. And I genuinely think that it's a cool camera. And so I just kind of like dug my feet into, like, if you want to get excited about Lumix cameras, you just come to my channel and you be excited about them, because I'm excited about them, and I'm going to be shilling Lumix for that reason. So it's not because of free stuff. Like, if I didn't get sent any of these cameras, then I would still buy them. I've made, it's kind of like the 24-60 though. I probably wouldn't buy the 24-60. There are things that I get that I wouldn't necessarily buy. So like the 24-60, I wouldn't necessarily buy that because I already have the 24-70. But, I still make something on it so that you guys can get some nice insight early, on which one you can buy. So, yeah. Shoot concerts, it's usually low light and fast shutter. My S1 handles the lighting much better than my Canon. The S1 in LEDs renders much better. That's why I love the S1. Ooh. If you shoot concerts and you're in low light, oh man, I really think that the S1R2 is the way to go, because, oh man, the low light, I'm going to make a video about this as well. I'm going to actually do a full-blown comparison. And Gerald even kind of mentioned it in his video, finally. But, like, people refer to the FX3 and the A7S III as the low-light king. But I think people kind of, like, they only say that, I think, because the second base ISO is 12,800. But then I'm like, there's so many other factors to consider when it comes to low light as well, though. And I think that the Lumix cameras are better in low light because they retain the image better on the higher ISO values, whereas the Sony does not. And so I actually want to do a direct comparison to the A7S III, just because there's a lot of misconception, I think. So I'll do a low, and I'm just genuinely curious too how the low light compares to the S1R2 and the S12, because the S1R2 technically has lower base ISOs, but because you can bring up and still retain the image with such low noise, you can underexpose by so much that, like, the S1R2 still may be better in low light than the S1 Mark II. So I'm just like genuinely curious. So that's a video I'm going to do. I've kind of gotten bored of like direct comparison videos, but that one I'm actually curious about. So, and I also want to get that out there. I want to get that information out there, that there's a misconception when it comes to low light and what is better in low light. Oh, and they also think that, it can go up to 400,000 ISO, so it's way better in low light. But I'm like, that doesn't mean it's even usable though. Like, it'll be mushy and colors will be terrible, and like, yeah, there's so many things to consider. Sure, maybe it might be brighter, but I don't think the image is going to look good or usable like at all. 4K 120. Is there any crop? From what I'm seeing, no. No, there is. Sorry, there is. There is a slight crop. It's 1.24. I remember actually Gerald mentioned this in his video. There's a slight crop in 4K 120. But again, everybody's going to overlook the 96 frames per second. There's no crop at 96 frames per second. It's full frame. There is 96 frames per second is full frame. Everybody's going to overlook that. They're just going to think about 120 frames per second. I was trying to use the S1R2 as webcam the other day and couldn't do it. So good to hear. Yeah, it's not UVC is not available on the S1R2 yet, but it's coming. One, to use them as a webcam until this. Yeah, it just makes it so much more convincing, right? Mine's covered in sand. It'll be okay. You've got like even finer sand too. Like the red sand stuff. You're daily in the sand. I'm just like a one-off thing, and I was like, "Yep, I'm good." I want to go back to that location, by the way, and shoot some stuff for that intro when it's not windy. So yeah, I just think it would be cool. Between S1 and S5 2 series due to differences in dial and mode setups. So yeah. I don't think that the S1, I think that the S1H, the S1, and the S1R, the original ones, I don't think they're going to get much love these days. I think most of Lumix's resources are going to be going to these cameras. So yeah, I don't think that, I could almost guarantee that that function will not come to the S1. So, overheating controversy, the whole S9 thing. It's insane how each camera has controversy. And now this one is going to be the 4K 120 controversy. It's going to be the 4K 120 and the non-cinema body. That's what it's going to be. I wonder how are the Facebook groups these days right now because of this release. I'm actually kind of curious here. We're going to go on a little journey. What's everybody whining about these days? Let's see here. What's everybody whining about? Let's see. There's going to be so many videos in the Facebook groups. Someone said, oh, okay, he's trolling. Okay. I thought he was not trolling. I was like, brother, come on, man. So far, so good. You know why there's no controversy? It's because Gerald likes the camera. By the way, guys, I'm not making jabs at Gerald. I like Gerald a lot. I talked to Gerald, he just cares a lot. Okay? He cares a lot about his content, and he wants to get good information. He wants to get information out there for people to consider and see why. And so when people, and maybe he has a hard time, like, I don't know. This is just me hypothesizing. He has a hard time, like, drawing that line of, like, this is not worth it or this is worth it, right? Of, like, to as in, like, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't get too deep into that. Just know I like Gerald a lot. Even if he says a Lumix camera is not for him, like the S9, it sucks for him. He's not going to review it or anything like that. I still like Gerald. Been on the Lumix G7 when I was in high school, and the brand hasn't let me down. I can't wait for that day where an S1H2 or an EVA Mark II releases with fully cine focused feature. Guys, that is like the next step. Like, I mean, I said it in my video that for me, what I do for work, this is enough. Like, it's not in a cinema body, but to be honest, this is probably enough for 90, maybe even 95% of what I do. However, you know what's crazy? When I was editing my video yesterday, I talk about some of the higher paying gigs that I get like a couple times per year. I found a bunch of footage that I shot on the S5 on one of those higher paying gigs that I hadn't deleted yet. I like put day one as a backup on my NAS and I forgot about it. And, you know, I just handed them a hard drive when I was done. But I was like, I need to make a video about that footage because it looks so good. And I think at this point, it's been a couple years, like 2 years now that we handed that off. I think I could use that footage. But yeah, that's like one of the higher paying gigs that I go on. But the only reason that like I want an S1H Mark II, since we're on the topic, again, I don't really need one. Has everything I would need and more. But it's only for higher paying gigs that I can show up with a more cinema looking body that looks more higher end. Internal NDs would be nice too. That is the only reason that I would want an S1H Mark II. I think people just want it because it feels like the pro version. Like, I don't know, there's just a stigma now for some reason. Ever since the FX3, there's like a stigma when it comes to video and it being in a, you know, hybrid body or a traditional camera body. But like, they really don't bother me. Like, this is small. Whereas like I know that there's going to be a lot of inconveniences probably when it comes to that little like cinema body, but who knows? I could change my mind if something comes out like that. The S1H Mark II comes out and it's not a hybrid body. I might actually love it and be like, you know what? This is taking a back shelf, but hey, this is going to be sitting on the shelf, but probably not. This is going to be the B cam. And I would assume that the S1H2, if it was in a cinema body, they probably wouldn't really add in like photo features. Maybe they would. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be the most interesting thing, I think, is like, what is the S1H2 going to be like? What is it going to have to offer? But I finally feel like I have two pro cameras, right? When it comes to Lumix, like, I'm so stoked. Now I feel like I've been in this like super excited about S1H for like a couple years. S5 II came out and it was like, yes, autofocus, but then it was kind of like, now the S1H doesn't really feel like the pro camera anymore, and the S5 II doesn't really feel like the pro camera anymore, just because like, it's great that it's small, but it just doesn't. I don't know why that like stigma came up, but like it's just kind of what happened. But it's like, this feels like a pro camera. S1R2 feels like a pro camera. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm excited. And I'm sure I'll say the same thing in 3 years. Just kidding. Love your content. Learned a lot from you and other wonderful Lumix creators. I have a small Lumix channel, but hope to join you guys on the press trips one day. I tell people this all the time. The best way to get involved with Lumix is to just be making content and start gaining a following. Because, yeah, everything that I have done up until this day, I've never asked, basically, for anything from Lumix. I just kind of have this, like, code, I guess, in a way that I live by, that if somebody, when it comes to like my content and my channel, if somebody wants to do something with me, like, just let me know. Just reach out. I'm happy to talk about anything, and I'll probably be willing to do whatever, and we'll do things reliably and, on time. Josh will understand that. This is the best low light Lumix ever made. Really? I'm curious, actually. FX3 is so good in low light, the military has started using it instead of night vision goggles. It's probably noisy as hell. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Why don't they just reinvent low light goggles then, instead of just using the camera? Still, there is no black X camera in the new S1 series, so that crown still remains the S5 IIX. You're totally right. The S5 IIX is still the Batman camera. Hold on. By the way, for those of you who have watched my video, I cleaned up and organized my whole basement. Well, I still got to organize this over here. I didn't have time to finish it for the video. But it's okay, I'm going to go through it all. But, like, it feels so much better having things organized in this basement. I actually have space to, like, walk around my entire desk area and stuff, but, yeah. Anyways, the Batman camera. This is still the Batman camera. I actually think that a lot of people didn't like the black accents. I like the black accents, but they're like, I can't see. But I'm like, I don't know. I think the black accents are cool. Oh, you know what I was gonna say too? I think it's funny that, in my opinion, I think it's funny that people whine about the body being smaller now. If you just buy the battery grip, it's the same size as the older S-series cameras. I get it. It's an extra accessory you have to buy. But if you're really that particular about the size of the camera bodies, then just buy the external grip. And boom, it's the same size now. And you get way better battery life and more function. So, yeah. Thanks for the 996p no crop info. As for Sony, they're just trading detail for apparent lack of noise. It's just noise reduction or something to that end. I always prefer detail, denoise in post later. That's how I feel too. Detail and color retention. Because, yeah, like back in the day when I compared to the S1H and the A7S III, I was surprised at how good the S1H looked like at the max ISO compared to the Sony. Because, like, the Sony, yeah, it was just like the color was gone. It was mushy. Like, it just didn't look good. And I was like, I'm not going to use that. So it's going to, 4K 120 and 420 controversy. I have accidentally started. Oh, no. Phil, why? Facebook groups are loving it. Well, that's good to hear. And the E has the same 96p, right? No, it does not. The E does not have 96p. The E is going to be very, very similar to the S5 IIX in terms of capabilities when it comes to the recording modes. It will have one or a couple new recording modes that are in CinemaScope. So you can record in CinemaScope at 48 and 60 FPS. I believe at 4K. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's it. But the E does not have the 96 frames per second full frame. Only the S1 II does for now. Possible that the S1R2 will get it too, but oh yeah, it will get it. It's getting the time code, so it should be getting it. Wait, maybe not. I don't know. Don't quote me on that either. I feel like it should be getting it because the main reason that they added 96 frames per second is because of the time code. So if your timeline is a 24 frame FPS timeline, you actually don't want to shoot in 4K 120 frames per second. Actually, yeah, you don't. Because you want to shoot in 96 frames per second because it's divisible by that. Even though 4K 120 is divisible, I think there's some issues that happens. I can't remember. There's some kind of thing, nuance or something to that. I could be wrong, but that's the main reason they added 96 frames per second, though, is because of the new time code. So, what's the difference between the S1 II and the S1R2? Main difference is the sensor. S1R2 has 44 megapixels. This has 6K. This has some open gate shooting modes and CinemaScope. I believe the S1R2 is going to be getting some of those modes. Don't quote me on it. But yeah, the best way I can put it is that the S1R2 leans more on professional photo features, whereas this leans more on professional video features. But they're both hybrid cameras, so... S1H2 internal NDs, box style, XLR, SDI, high dynamic range, the Panasonic version of the FX6 or Canon C80, that would be my wish list. No, I agree. I honestly think that Lumix, that's what they're going to go for next. Is if they were going to make an S1H Mark II, I think I would be kind of confused if they made it in like a cinema type body. Or sorry, in a hybrid type body, not a cinema type body, because I think like this already trumps a lot of the cameras that are out there, but if they want to compete in that space, they have to make something like that. So, were you in Austin? Yes, I was in Austin. Lumix Discord server has been great. Entered the photography cast for this week. And it's great having so many Lumix resources and creators to chat with. I agree. Shout out to Matt who created that. Drum roll, battery grip and cage. I still need to get one. I don't even have the XLR2 yet. I kind of mentioned this on my last live stream that this isn't a complaint, but sometimes it's kind of annoying when like Lumix leaves me on the hook and they're like, hey, we're gonna get you the battery grip and the XLR2 thing. And I'm like, okay, like when? Oh, they're hard. It's hard to get them in stock. We'll get them. And I'm like, I see one in stock. I could buy it. So like, should I buy it? I mean, like, if you need it, but like you're saying, you're gonna say, just tell me yes or no if you're gonna send it or not, because like I don't want to buy it and then they send it to me. Not a complaint. It's a very good position to be in, but still, I want the XLR2, and I mostly just want the battery grip for my course to make some videos on that, but. So then, because I'm going to probably need it for my course, but we might just have to expense it. Business expense. All right, I'm going to look at some of the comments on my video. I haven't even looked at my video yet. Performing well. Not really surprised, but let's check out some of the comments. This video goes hard. You know me. Bro, that intro sequence. Dune 3 confirmed. Does anyone know the fundamental differences between the S12 and versus the S12E? I'm trying to make a decision if the S12 is worth the extra. The S12E. Maybe I'll hold on. Let me pull this over so I can still see chat while I respond to comments. Excuse me. Also, overall industry rant, it's hard to be surprised excited when leaks drop days or weeks ahead of the actual announcements from companies like DJI and Panasonic. I know. Leaks leaks ruin everything. I hate the whole leak thing. And actually, brands really hate the whole leak thing. And just a little tip for you guys that are making content when it comes to LUMIX or any brands in general, do not, if you want to have a relationship with a brand, do not make any content when it comes to leaked information. Like, don't do it. Brands do not like when you leak information. Like, if you want to go to a press trip or whatever and you're making content on leaked information, you're probably not going to get invited. A little pro tip for you. So if like something leaked, like if a leak spec comes out and you're like, oh, I want to make a video about this so I can like, you know, get ahead of the game and like before other people post about it and whatnot, don't do it. Brands do not like that. So what's the difference between the S1R2 and the S1 II for filmmakers that makes choosing between them obvious? There's too much to cover, but basically the S1R2 leans more into the pro photo features, whereas the S1 Mark II leans more to the pro video features. So like one higher megapixel sensor on the S1R2, 44 megapixels. This is 24 megapixels. This is a partially stacked sensor. That is not. So worse rolling shutter, better rolling shutter. This also, this has, I think, in my opinion, a little bit better color, the S1R2. That's what I'm filming on. That's why I'm pointing this way. But this will have more pro video features like the open gate, oversampled 3x2 modes, 96 frames per second and 96 frames per second and 240 frames per second. Possible that the 96 frames per second is coming to the S1R2, but yeah. That's basically it though. Besides that, they're almost essentially the same. Forgot to hit the burp button. I'm still at my breakfast table. That was my bad. I still haven't even gotten, when it comes to overheating, I still haven't even gotten the S1R2 to overheat on me. So well guys, I think this is the time to wrap up the live stream. I gotta go pick up my son, run some errands, and get some work done. Because your boy was up really late last night getting things done. And I gotta get much work done today, so it's probably time for me to wrap up and end. How reliable is the autofocus on the S1 II for filming events like rock concert? So I need to make a video about this as well. I've discovered some things I didn't realize about the autofocus that I didn't even mention in my S1R2 video. So I'm going to make a full video about best autofocus settings and things to be aware of, basically. But it's very reliable. I filmed like 5 or 6 events since the release of the S1R2. Give me 1 second, guys. My wife is calling me, and then I'll continue wrapping up. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Got $3K to spend already. Decided on LUMIX. What's best combo LUMIX has to offer for primary photography and some video? Are you talking about which lens is the best combo? I mean, probably the 24 to 60. Or actually, I'm gonna say this. If you do the 20 to 60 millimeter or the 18 to 40 for the kit lens, that leaves you room to get the... Actually, I take it back. Get the 28 to 105 from Sigma or the 35 to 150 from Samyang. Those are probably the two best. That's probably the best combo lens for like everything in general. Hey, Caesar, your video is so good. Dude, I listened to Gerald's video on the way to dropping my son off, and I haven't watched anybody's video yet, but thanks, man. My video was basically just a full-blown like sizzle about the camera. Much different than my S1R2 video. Mostly because I had more time to actually shoot some stuff. But I tried to mostly focus more on like just getting people excited about the camera, because I'm just excited about the camera and having an interesting story along with it. My insanely dirty basement, or messy basement, that is now clean. It got a tiny bit messy last night when I was working, but now that everything has a place, it's all marked. There's no guesswork anymore. There's a place for everything. So as soon as I'm done so now when I'm just like, oh, I need to clean up a little real quick, boom, 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 I just put it back instead of it just existing in the space. So yeah, but thanks, man. Yeah, I got to watch a lot of people's videos, but I got to get some work done. I'm probably going to be binging everybody's videos tonight. So good chat. Thanks for coming in, Kevin. I'm going to wrap up these questions, and I'm going to take off, guys. If you're not concerned about autofocus, is there a noticeable difference in image quality between the OG S1H and the S1 II or the S1R2? Personally, I think there is a big difference. I think when people... This is also another kind of like tinfoil hat thing. I think that the S1R2, the S1 II, and even the S5 II, S5 IIX, I think the image actually looked better than the S1H. I think in our minds, we think, and maybe it's subjective too. Some people probably still think the S1H is better, but because of how good the image was from what we were used to on the S1H, when it comes to like this camera and the S1R2, and you see it, when you first see it, you're like, like that S1H, it just looked so good though. But it's because it was such a big jump from what we were used to. Whereas with these cameras, there's maybe like more of a slight bump in image quality, but we think that the S1H image quality looked so much better because of that huge jump. Personally, though, I do think that these cameras look better in terms of image quality, especially though the S1R2. The S1R2's image and color look. That sensor is so good. Love your work. Good luck. Thank you, Ivan. Camera plus lens. Yeah, either 24-60, 24-70, 28-70, 28-105, or the 35-150. Yeah. And I don't know if that was 3K for the lens and body. Yeah, if you could do the S1 honestly, if you did the S1 II and the kit, one of the kit lenses, you'd be just fine. If you wanted to get one that was more pro, I mean, yeah, you could get. I think you could actually get the S1 IIe and the 24-60 in a kit for less than, or it's a little over $3,000. But you could get the S1 IIe probably with the 20-60 millimeter or the 18-40 millimeter kit lens, and it would be under $3K. But if you want to go more pro, then get the 28-105, spend a little bit more. So what's the difference on the E model? Okay, last question, then I got to go. Basically, the biggest difference between the E model, it uses the old S5 II and S5 IIX S9 sensor. This one uses a partially stacked sensor. The S1, the biggest difference is just this one has different features and codecs. Like this has dynamic range boost. It's got the open gate 48 and 60 FPS. It's got 96 frames per second, 240 frames per second. So those are honestly the main differences. But when in terms of hardware, they will be the same. So the S1 IIe will have the same body as this. You'll be able to do 32-bit float internally, UVC, Arilog C3. I don't think I mentioned that, but Arilog C3 and Timecode. So all of those little hardware differences, are not going to be different. Hardware differences between the S5 II, S5 IIX, and the S1 II. The S1 IIe is going to have all those things. The E stands for essentials. So that's the main difference. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. My next live stream, I really want to do a video. My next live stream, or I really want to do a live stream where I edit one of my YouTube videos from start to finish in a live stream. So that's probably going to be the next video. You guys can get a behind the scenes look of my process, I guess, when it comes to editing a YouTube video. So anyways, stay tuned for that live stream. We'll see you guys later. Don't forget to sign up for the course as well. Here's a trailer to watch. Until the next stream, happy filming. Streaming? I don't know. Whatever. Bye.
Unlock the full power of your LUMIX camera. Introducing LUMIX Pro. From mastering every setting to creating with ease, this course is the key to technical confidence for any project and any job. It's the start of your mastery. One payment gains you lifetime access to a growing library of tutorials, digital downloads, sample footage, private live streams, and more. Don't just own LUMIX. Become a pro with it.